Unit 8 Family Theories. 8.1 Introduction. Let us start with the simple question: what is family? A common answer that pops up in our mind is the grandparents, the mother, the father, and the children. In India, family is known as Gristi household, Parivar family, and Kutum, extended or joint family. The earlier form of family in India, generally identified as traditional, mostly comprises parents and their biological children, and further their children, along with some relatives staying together. Nowadays, these types of families are becoming less common, and others are emerging at a fast pace. Today's family may be wed or unwed, single parent, blended with homosexual parents, etc. Researchers from different fields are studying family in relation to different fields like anthropology, sociology, psychology, demography, economics, and many more. Therefore, it is very difficult to have a single definition of family, as it has become a relative term when studied in different contexts. According to Burgess and Locke, 1945, the family is a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood or adoption, constituting a single household, interacting and communicating with each other in their respective roles of husband and wife, mother and father, son and daughter, brother and sister, and creating and maintaining common culture. Spafford et al., 1998, defined family as two or more persons to include at least one person in whose name the housing unit is owned, based and rented, and residing together within, usually family members who are related by birth, adoption, or marriage. However, non-related persons may also be considered part of the so-called extended family when residing together, or sometimes even when they are not. In India, the study of family started as early as in the ancient period, written about in Sanskrit by upper-class males, Brahmins. Then emerged the studies based on ancient Hindu texts. The main focus of these early studies was to highlight the ancient socio-cultural institutions and to explain the nature of Hindu marriage, the law of inheritance, the position of women, kinship, and family relationships. As time progressed, research on families started focusing on fieldwork, statistical techniques, and empirical data. Demographical studies came into existence to study and analyze data on a large scale, which further assisted in comprehending the size and composition of households and the factors which accounted for the differences in rural and urban settings. Historical studies focused on the records available from the past, which revealed that Indian families preferred to live in large and complex households termed joint families, 3 or 4 generations of close kin, patrilineal or sometimes matrilineal, living together. Gradually, the joint family underwent some structural changes, though it continued to remain the same functionally. Even though the family members were not sharing a common residence, they were attached by emotional bonds and shared obligations. Then emerged the concept of extended family, small family consisting of husband, wife, and children, with or without some close relations like parents, brothers, sisters. Unlike historical studies, anthropological studies based on qualitative data through observation and interviews relied heavily on the present as compared to the past. These included the study of families from specific villages, tribes, religious communities, and urban centers. Due to the small sample size, these studies could not be generalized. Hence, they were unable to explain the cause of nuclear families resulting from joint families, possibly from urbanization and industrialization. Then comparative analysis came into existence, which included the study of families belonging to different societies from different parts of India. It explained the adaptive changes in the family, but still, other structural changes and deviant families need to be researched. This includes families of divorced, widowed or unwed individuals, patterns of alcoholics and homosexuals, the role of women in the family life processes, causes of tensions and ruptures in the family, quality of family life, etc. To develop a theory about families, there must be at least one family concept in the theory. Each theory in family science has its own importance. The main objectives of family theory are to understand how families work, to figure out problems or issues in families, to find possible solutions to these issues. Objectives. After studying this unit, you will be able to differentiate family theories from other theories, define different family theories, explain the concepts associated with family theories, and highlight the empirical applications of family theory. 8.2 Family Theories versus Other Theories. You understood the functions of theory in Unit 3 of this course. As we are going to study family theories in this unit, let us first understand the difference among family theories and other theories. 8.2.1 How a family differs from other associations. 1. Families last for a considerably longer period of time than do most other social groups. For example, our parents remain parents even after we become adults and parents ourselves. 2. Families are intergenerational, which means we may have grandparents or even great-grandparents. That is, through the act of giving birth, families include people who are related as parents and children. 3. Families contain both biological and affinal, for example, legal, common law, relationships between members. 4. The biological aspect of families links them to larger kinship organizations. 5. Families have, Copeland and White, 1991, pp. 5. I. Shared history. The history stretches back for generations and involves ethnic or religious values. T. Shared future. Laboratory study is different from family study in the way that families are always conscious about anonymity and confidentiality regarding what they say. This can alter the results in data. There is a special responsibility of the researcher to attend to the effect of the study on the family. I. Shared biology. There is a built-in power hierarchy in families that is less obvious or non-existent in other groups. 8.2.2 Criteria for evaluation of family theories. The purpose of presenting this section is to make you, as a researcher, aware of the criteria that help to develop a critical capacity for family theory. Criteria for evaluating family theories, Klein 1994, are as follows. Internal consistency. A family theory does not contain logically contradictory assertions. Clarity or explicitness. Family theories are defined and explicated wherever necessary. Explanatory power. Family theory explains well what it intends to explain. Coherence. Family theories are integrated and interconnected. Understanding. Family theory provides a comprehensible sense to examine the whole phenomenon. Empirical fit. Large portions of the tests of family theory have been confirmatory, or at least have not been interpreted as disconfirming. Testability. It is possible for family theory to be empirically supported or refuted. Heuristic value. Family theory can generate considerable research and intellectual curiosity. Groundedness. Family theory has been built up from detailed information about events and processes observable in the world. Contextualization. Family theory considers social and historical contexts. Interpretive and sensitive. Family theory reflects the experiences practiced and felt by the social units to which it is applied. Predictive power. Family theory can successfully predict phenomena that have occurred since its formulation. Practical utility. Family theory is useful for teaching, therapy, political action, or a combination of these. Our focus here is on major themes and examples of how family theory works in day-to-day life. We will consider 6 different but related theories about families. However, we will discuss 3 theories in this unit and the other 3 theories in the next unit. 8.3 Developmental Theory. Rohan and Gia are expecting their first child in their late 30s. When they discussed this with their friends and elder family members, everyone suggested that Rohan should plan an investment for the child. Ria was also advised to research some articles related to baby care that will help her to take care of the baby. Ria said, "In our society, the role of mother will remain the same as that of a nurturer in spite of her working outside the home." Slut 8.3.1 Introduction. The above example indicates that it is the family stage that is important and not the chronological age of the family members. According to developmental theory, family development is viewed as a dynamic process from beginning until death. It views the family as a semi-closed system, having the dependence-independence situation on other social systems. The role of each family member and his or her position is emphasized. Any change in the member or their position in the family affects the other's role and position, since the members are so interrelated and interact in a unit called a family. This approach recognizes the changes that take place in the family from time to time, stage-wise, and the adjustments that the members have to make with each other. Each stage has its specific prerequisites and developmental tasks that need to be accomplished. The importance of this concept is that family members face these developmental tasks at different stages of their human development. Developmental theory contains three complementary theoretical approaches, which are interrelated. Refer to Fig. 8.1. 1. Individual lifespan theory. It emphasizes individual ontogenetic development, but within the context of social norms and the historical period. 2. Family development theory. It focuses on systematic and patterned changes faced by the family. 3. Life course theory. It focuses on the individual and increasingly uses the family context to examine the event history of an individual's life course, for example, divorce, fertility, etc. Fig. 8.1. Three complementary theories of developmental theory. Family development theory, systematic and patterned changes faced by the family. Individual lifespan theory, ontogenetic development of the individual. Life course theory, examines the event history of the individual. All three theories above interact with each other throughout the life course because they have common ground, as discussed below. All are concerned with family factors affecting the ontogenetic development of the individual. All these three theories focus on time and its role in individual or group change. All of these three theories incorporate individual and family change within a larger framework of birth cohort, historical period, and individual age factors. Assumptions. There are some assumptions which form the foundation for this theory that family stages are more important than individual life stages. 1. Developmental processes are unavoidable and important in understanding families. According to this assumption, individual family members, the interaction between family members, the structure of the family, and the norms composing expectations about family roles, all these change with the passage of time. For instance, the role of women varies with different family life stages. It may be that of a caregiver, but if she is single, then it is that of a provider. The changing roles and expectations for different stages of family life are viewed as essential to an understanding of the family. 2. Family group is affected by all the levels of analysis, including social norms. The norms represent the level of analysis of the family as a social institution. For example, the norms about techniques of child discipline are related to social class as well as to the codification of the larger system, legal. We can see in the example below how each level can affect the level of child abuse. If it is restricted by law or in family, then child abuse will not happen at a lower level. See Fig. 8.2. Institutional norms, legal, for example, child abuse, aggregate clusters of families, subgroup relationships, husband, wife, and sibling, individual family member. Fig. 8.2, different levels of analysis of the family. 3. Time is multidimensional. Time is measured by the clock, meaning measuring time is an attempt to make sure that there is an equal interval of time between each event on the clock. However, when we spend happier or dull time, it is not strictly controlled by our wristwatch. That means it is not an equal interval of time, but we use family experiences as a separate way to divide the time. Social norms are tied more closely to the social process dimension of time than to the calendar or wristwatch. For example, our daughter was born just after your father died. So marker events, birth, wedding, death, etc. are used for analysis. Here again, we are not focusing on the actual time. Rather, we focus on the events happening in the family life. 8.33 Concepts. There are some crucial concepts we have to understand to gain insight into this theory. These are as follows. 1. Position. In kinship, position is defined by gender, marriage or blood relations, and generational relations. For example, husband-wife, father-mother, son-daughter, brother-sister, sister-in-law, babi, brother. 2. Norms. Norms are social rules that govern group and individual behavior. Norms may be age and stage graded. For instance, you do not apply the same rules to a toddler that you do to a teenager. 3. Family roles. Family roles are the norms attached to one of the kinship positions. For example, the role of mother entails the norm of nurturance of the young, but it is quite different for a mother of adolescent children. Positions are defined structurally, but the content of a role, the norms, may change from society to society or culture to culture. 4. Family stages. Family stage is an interval of time in which the structure and interactions of role relationships in the family are noticeably and qualitatively distinct from other periods of time. Aldous, 1996. For example, the marriage of a child doesn't mean the end of parental responsibility, but signifies a change based on the spatial and interactional organization of members. 5. Transition. Transition is the shift from one family stage to another. For instance, a married couple may stay married or divorced, or they might have a child. 6. Developmental tasks. Each stage is supposed to have some tasks, and the successful achievement of these tasks is thought to lead to happiness and success with later tasks. Havikhurst, 1948. Developmental tasks are defined as growth responsibilities that arise at a certain stage in the life of a family, the successful achievement of which leads to satisfaction and success with later tasks, while its failure leads to unhappiness in the family, disapproval by society, and difficulty with later family developmental tasks. 7. Variations. Variations indicate the strength of norms in a social system. For example, according to laws in India, a girl may marry after 18 years of age, but a boy must attain the age of 21 years before he may do so. 8. Deviations. Deviation is viewed as a source of social change. Here's the corrected versions. Deviation is viewed as a source of social change. Nowadays, delays in marriages are due to the quality of work and education in society. 9. Development. Development is the process that occurs in an organism or a living structure over an extension of time. Just as an individual family member grows, develops, matures, and ages while undergoing successive changes and readjustments from conception to senescence, similarly, the family has a sequence, from formation through expansion and contraction to dissolution. 8.3.4 Empirical applications. There exists a myriad of applications of developmental theories, but here we emphasize only 2. One family stress, Reuben Hill, 1971, was responsible for this theoretical concept. According to him, both family and individual experience symptoms of stress. Although individuals perceive and react to stress, it may be the resources of the family that explain the successful management of stress. Further, the level of stress caused by an event depends on a number of factors. For example, an unwed teenager's pregnancy will not be viewed positively, whereas a married family member's pregnancy would be. Therefore, the same event causes different levels of family stress. Often events follow one another and lead to stress. This can be explained with the following example. Moving to a new house, prolonged illness of a family member, and then death. Hill, 1949, developed a model to cope with stress that is the ABCX model. Later, Patterson, 2002, combined the resiliency and stress model with the family adjustment and adaptation model. 2. Transition to parenthood. Hill and Rogers, 1964, argued that a particular transition from one family stage to another might be stressful. As a result, families suffer a decline in marital roles. It may include parental preparation and the timing of work-related events. Fathers' involvement in caregiving may reduce marital stress. 8.4 Systems Theory. Today is Shivani's 4th birthday after marriage. Jay came from the office and both went for a candlelight dinner. But Shivani is not in a good mood today. On being asked what is wrong with her, she informs him that she was expecting a surprise trip for her birthday. She had even given him clues by showing how fares of flights have decreased, the weather was so nice, etc., but he never understood. Jay says that he remembered how she used to get excited at the mere thought of a candlelight dinner. Yeah, I like that, but if you plan some surprises, that will add more spice to our monotonous life, was Shivani's argument. As we have seen in the above example, both spouses become linked in a system in which one person's behavior becomes the other person's information. In return, this person's information provides the beliefs and basis on which future actions are taken. Those actions are evidence to the fact that the other spouse does not understand him or her and has not received the more subtle messages. The study of marital and family interaction has been an important component in the recent development of systems theory, also known as system theory, in social sciences. A system is simply some part of the world singled out for attention whose parts interact. According to White and Klein, 2008, p. 158, a system is a unit that can be distinguished from and that affects the environment. The foundation for systems theory comes from two perspectives. One, the organic or evolutionary perspective, Spencer, 1980, which views the universe as a continual process that forms and dissipates structures. Universal principles are applied to all domains of study like biology, psychology, and sociology. 2. The science of information and automata, telegraph, telephone, and voice over the internet. All these modes of communication use digital codes to transfer information. Also known as communication theory, later it was applied to living systems. One dominant view of a living system is family, which is driven by an organizing process. 8.4.2 Assumptions. Here we will focus on the assumptions of systems theory that will give us more clarity regarding how this theory works. 1. All parts of the system are interconnected. Change in one part of the system influences all other parts of the system. For instance, the arrival of guests in the family influences the environment of the family. 2. System can be understood only as a whole. A system is much more than the sum of its parts. Behavior settings are learned holistically in families. For example, mistakes cannot be attributed to one person. Rather, a system analyst would be able to investigate how the mistake occurred in a subsystem. 3. A system's behavior affects its environment, and in turn, the environment affects the system. It explains that cause and effect do not work in isolation. This can be understood from Fig 8.3. Communication process, input, process feedback, environment, output. Fig 8.3 Environment, communication process, and behavior. 4. Systems are heuristic, not real things. Systems theory is not a reality, but here's the corrected verse. Systems theory is not a reality, but a way of knowing. Constructivist perspective is the view that knowledge must not be taken to be a picture of objective reality, but rather a particular way of organizing experience. Ernst von Glasersfeld, 1987. An individual's behavior in a family context can indicate how a person will behave in any social setting. Family system is an emotional unit of intimate relationship that is persistent. This approach helps in understanding how a family functions. Principles of systemic approach. I. Interdependence. Family members are dependent on each other. T. Subsystems. In a family, there are various subsystems functioning. For example, in a family, mother and daughter are sharing a closed relationship, and father is not involved in it. Die, circularity or circular chain reaction. In a family, each member influences every other member of the family. Equifinity system. If one subsystem does not work, the family tries different types of subsystems. V. Communication. In a family, it is very important to have communication. Family rules. Regardless of the freedom in the family, it is very important to have some rules and norms. Vi. Homeostasis. Some stability is needed in the family. Subsystems should be created in such a manner that there should be homeostasis. Vi. Morphogenesis. It is important to adapt. 8.43 Concepts. 8. System levels. Systems have levels as explained below. First-order system. There is no method of control or error correction. For example, poor grade in exams. Environmental inputs, systems rules of transformation, output to environment, feedback re-enters. Figure 8.5 First-order system. 8.4.3 Concepts. There are many concepts of systems theory. 1. System. A system is a unit that can be distinguished from and that affects its environment. In other words, it is separable from the environment and has an effect on its environment. For example, a family is a system in itself, but it may or may not affect or get affected by its community, environment for the family, which is also a system in itself. This is decided by the permeability of boundaries. 2. Boundaries. All systems have some form of boundaries. A boundary is a border between the system and its environment that affects the flow of information and energy between the environment and system. For example, in physical boundaries, families live in households on plots of land, with fences, doors, windows, walls, and so forth, yet they differ in their openness to outsiders and their ability to maintain privacy. In the case of a symbolic boundary, knowledge about what goes on within the family varies. The degree of permeability decides the nature of the system, whether it is closed or open. I. Closed system. In this, the system has no give and take from the environment, as in mathematics. E. Open system. In this, the system interacts with the environment, which is decided by the degree of permeability. 3. Subsystem. It is a part of a system that is analyzed separately in relation to its exchanges with the system and other subsystems. For example, the family system contains sibling subsystems, marital subsystems, and parent-child subsystems. 4. Rules of transformation. All systems have internal rules of transformation. It represents a relationship between two elements of a system, quid pro quo rule for a marital system. For example, if the husband is good to his wife is good in return. One of the major functions of this concept is to transform the inputs to the system from the environment into outputs from the system. 5. Feedback. It refers to the circular loop that brings some of the system's output back to the system as input. It can be negative or positive to attain the goal. For example, a poor grade obtained by a child in an exam is feedback for the child to work harder next time to achieve good grades in the next exam, which becomes a goal. Thus, feedback may help to bring variety to the system to achieve goals. Feedback, positive deviation, amplifying. For example, poor grade in exams. Negative deviation, dampening. For example, clashes between a married couple. Fig. 8.4, types of feedback. 6. Variety. All systems have a degree of variety. It refers to the resources the system has to meet new environmental demands or adapt to changes. For instance, a family with rigid rules may lack the flexibility to adapt to changes, such as dealing with a daughter who wants to marry a person from another religion. As a result, the family system may rupture because it is unable to adapt to this change. When the system adapts to change, then the state of equilibrium is attained. 7. Equilibrium. It refers to a balance of inputs and outputs. A family system can also be described as homeostatic when it dynamically maintains equilibrium by feedback and control. For example, Rohan wanted insurance for his child, but from his monthly salary it was not possible. So he decided to save some money every month systematically so that he could invest the same as a premium for the policy, thus balancing income and expenditure. 8. System levels. Systems have levels as explained below. First order system. There is no method of control or error correction. For example, poor grade in exams. Environmental inputs, systems rules of transformation, output to environment, feedback re-enters. Figure 8.5. First order system. Second order system. There is control within the system. For example, parents control the behavior of their children. Environmental inputs, systems rules of transformation, output to environment, compared with goal, control or cybernation. Fig. 8.6. Second-order systems. Cybernation, the activities and processes used to evaluate input, throughput, and output in order to make corrections, as seen in the example just discussed. Here we will discuss an example which will describe the system theory in process. Rakesh and Ria have a 4-year-old daughter, System, who is in the process of developmentally eating on her own. This has led to the family rule of eating together on one's own, rules of transformation. Ria instructs her daughter to finish her meal properly, but the child throws tantrums, not wanting to eat on her own. So Ria tries to manage this behavior by scolding and threatening to lock her inside the room. Negative feedback. But the tantrums continue until Ria realizes that by continuing to follow the rule, she is escalating the conflict. Now she takes an alternative approach and starts building a positive environment, positive feedback, by making comments about the food, how tasty it is, how it becomes even tastier when finished on your own, and how everyone will get a surprise after finishing their meal properly, variety and minimal cybernation. This way, her daughter tries to finish her meal with the help of Ria's alternative approach. This example illustrates several important concepts in system theory, such as variety, goals, and control. This shows that if Ria lacked the requisite variety to change behaviors midstream, she would have been trapped in her daughter's positive feedback loop of not eating on her own. 8.4.4 Variants of systems theory. Family systems theory covers three dominant variants which are most related to family theories. First, general systems approach to family that includes all the concepts of systems theory. Second, communication theory, which focuses on the communication process. Third, family process theory, which deals with modifying and extending systems to attain equilibrium in the family system. 1. General systems theory. Broderick and Smith, 1979, introduced the ways in which systems thinking might be applied to the study of the family. They suggested an introductory analysis of family system as a four-level system explained below. Change at highest level is responsible for change at lower-level systems. Environmental feedback loop, comparator for error detection and correction, cybernetics, higher-level comparator for control of lower-level, morphogenesis, highest-level goal system, conversion. Fig. 8.7, family system as four-level system. 2. Communication theory. This theory originated with the work of Shannon and Weaver, 1949, titled Mathematical Theory of Communication. Bateson and his colleagues applied this work in family studies. The field of communications uses a basic sender-receiver model of communication. Generally, researchers analyze only verbal and written messages, but in a family, there are more subtle messages that need to be studied. For example, if the husband is not in a mood to go out for dinner, then he will not understand the non-verbal communication of his wife. Number 3. Family process theory. This theory views the family as a goal-seeking system. Within the family, social and spatial relationships exist within and between the family and environment. Relations among family members must be managed so that individuals are protected from each other's demands and individuals are linked to each other. The relations between the family and its environment are composed of transactions that bridge and link the family to external systems while maintaining the boundaries of the family system. A family therapist generally uses this theory. For instance, if a person in a family becomes alcoholic, then a therapist must look for the causative factors and treat accordingly. Late 8.4.5 Empirical Applications. Marital and family communications. System theory has proven to be a major conceptual framework used in the study of marital interaction and family communication. This theory developed with the notion to test the contingencies between spousal verbal and nonverbal messages over time using a series of contingent probabilities. The emotional effect carried in the nonverbal messages is a better discriminator of distressed and non-distressed couples than more traditional verbal measures, such as spousal argument. This model categorizes families on the dimension of communication frequency and behavior conformity. 8.5 Sul exchange theory. Ruchi was working when she got married, holding a good position in college. She had to leave her job because her in-laws wanted her to be home. It was frustrating for her to accommodate, but she decided to go with the decision of her in-laws, thinking of the future and believing that spending time together will build a bond of trust and understanding with her spouse and thereby strengthen their relationship. But 8.5.1 Introduction. This theory is based on the essence of utilitarianism, which suggests that individuals rationally weigh the rewards and costs associated with behavioral choices. As we saw in the above example, in the expectation of a future reward, Ruchi left her job, present cost. Individuals choose those activities that maximize their rewards. Utilitarianism is a philosophical perspective that has heavily influenced exchange theories in social sciences. The central focus of the exchange theory is on motivation. Motivation is what induces a person to act. Therefore, we can understand a person's action by understanding the individual's interests or values. This theory explains the existence and endurance of a social group such as a family, group of individuals. Individuals come together in groups to maximize their rewards. If the costs of membership exceed its rewards, then membership in a group is no longer a rational choice. Thus, the family group is conceptualized as a source of rewards for the individual members. The most popular exchange theory, given by Ivan Nye, 1979, heavily relied on social psychology based on utilitarianism. One uses comparison level CL for making a rational choice. For example, in the case of a divorce, the wife will compare CL her profit ratio for her marriage with what she perceives other wives she knows are receiving in their marriages. The second level of comparison, CL+, would be to compare her profit as a wife with the profit she perceives in other possible unmarried positions, such as divorced and remarried wives. Therefore, a situation with more profit will be more acceptable. 8.52 Assumptions. This theory focuses on the following assumptions. 1. Individual is real. In exchange theory, the family is considered a collection of individuals, also referred to as methodological individualism. It implies that group phenomena, social structure, and the normative culture are constructed by the actions of individuals. The main aspect of this theory is that it emphasizes the individual. 2. Prediction and understanding come about by understanding the individual actor's motivation. Within the given constraints, choices are based on individual motivation rather than external sources. For example, a girl may choose her life partner, but with constraints of selecting one from her own caste. 3. Actors are motivated by their self-interest. It is a basic assumption, which implies that individuals seek things and relationships that they regard as beneficial for themselves. 4. Actors are rational. Being rational means the ability to calculate the ratio of costs to rewards. Youngsters are treated differently from adults, as they cannot think rationally. 8.5.3 Concepts. We will now take a look at some basic concepts of this theory. 1. Reward and cost. A reward is perceived as beneficial to an actor's interests, and cost is the negative dimension of rewards. 2. Profit or maximizing utility. Profit or maximizing utility is defined as the ratio of rewards to costs for any decision. 3. Comparison level and comparison level for alternatives, CL+. Comparison level, CL, means what others in your position have and how well you are doing relative to them. Comparison level for alternatives, CL+, refers to the alternative choices in your position and how well you are doing relative to others outside of your position. For example, a husband compares his profit ratio for marriage with other husbands, CL. But when he compares himself with other alternatives like being divorced, remarried, or unmarried, he calculates the profit ratio with respect to the alternatives, CL+. 4. Rationality. Rationality is what a person considers rewarding and costly. It also gives relative weightage to each reward and cost. For example, your family plans a trip in summer vacation. Now everybody will chalk out the maximum profit ratio, like going individually or with family. If it is decided that spending time together is most important, then comes the next step of deciding whether to go by flight or hire a taxi. Finally, the choice is made based on maximum profit. 5. Exchanges and equity. It is seen that inequities in a marriage are tolerated at a certain point because of the expectation of future rewards from that relation. Equity can be defined as fairness or justice. In a certain culture, sacrificing for the family is of normative value for women, and thus, even though it shows inequality, it is viewed as fair or equitable. Husband and wife can be imagined in a fair exchange situation, but when the situation becomes unfair, we may expect separation. 6. Human capital and social capital. Human capital refers to the knowledge, skills, and techniques acquired by the individual. Social capital refers to the network of relationships with others. Let us take an example. There are two families with equal financial status, but the family with a value of more trust will be able to achieve more in groups rather than the other family. 7. Generalizable sources of rewards. Generalizable sources of rewards are necessary if exchange theory is to be applied to families or other groups. This concept is understood best with the statement, "Why young people delay marriages." It is because they want to achieve the socially approved status. 8.54 Variants of social exchange theory. There are major two variants of this theory. 1. Micro-exchange theories. It assumes that the individual is the active unit of analysis. For example, mate selection. Individual exchange theories usually involve simply adding up all the individual motivations and therefore only one motive is to be analyzed. 2. Macro-exchange theories. In this, the active unit of analysis is the social group or institution. It studies the exchanges between the groups and the resulting social solidarity. 8.5 Empirical applications. Here we will apply exchange theory in two areas of research to study the family. 1. Divorce. This theory proves to be the most promising to explain the cause. We discussed earlier that there are two comparison levels that can be applied to better understand the reason for divorce. For instance, firstly, if a spouse compares profit relative to other marriages and feels deprived, that will lead to low satisfaction and cause for separation. But many remain associated just only because of the cost associated with divorce. Secondly, if a spouse compares profit with other possibilities and finds them satisfying, then it may be the reason for separation to escape from responsibilities. 2. Gender differences and social behavior. According to Nye's investigation, sex is more profitable for males as compared to females, as females are overburdened with the outcome of unwanted pregnancy and sexual frustration. Nye says that rewards for women can be increased by providing money or giving status and security in society. 8.6. Let us sum up. In this unit, we have learned about the different family theories. To begin with, developmental theory explains the patterns of family formation and dissolution. We can join three approaches: lifespan development, family development, and life course analysis. Concepts of this theory provide us with a deep insight into the family as a system. This theory also helps us to understand the concept of stress, which can be resolved by the family itself. Systems theory has proven to be the most useful approach for a scientific study of the family, mainly in two areas. One of these areas is family therapy, and the other is marital and family communication and interaction. Communication theory is properly a form of systems theory because it incorporates many of the basic concepts such as feedback and variety. The simple interpretation of the social exchange framework is mutual help for peaceful survival. The second aspect is that life is too complex to lead all alone. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with having social and moral bindings of giving rewards and reciprocating the same. In Indian joint families, principles are still respected. In fact, stronger relational ties automatically take care of the psychosocial and economic investments by family members in an individual member. 8.7. Equifinality. If one subsystem doesn't work, the family tries other different types of subsystems. System denotes a group of people affiliated by consanguinity, affinity, and co-residence. Neo-functionalism, integrating individuals in the hope of achieving spillover effects to further the process of integration. Nuclear family, the part of the family that consists of parents and their children. Utilitarianism, maximization of utility as a moral criterion for the organization of society.